Okay, um, we are right now in the immersive theater at CIVS at Purdue University Calumet. If I didn't tell you, CIVS is the place where I'm currently working. It's the Center for Innovation through Visualization and Simulation. It is a place of virtual reality, like 3D modeling. Um, we do a lot of projects that are a mix of like classic CGT type projects and engineering. I'm not on the engineering side. They've done a lot of really cool stuff with that, but the projects I'm really working on here right now, well, first, outside here is the immersive theater. This is like, it's like a VR environment. It's really cool. Using this device, I can't even put it all the way up, but this is the device that they would use to like control a tour through a virtual reality or a virtual environment, and you can actually wear like 3D goggles and stuff and walk through the environment. So the screen is this big wide thing up here, but then there's also kind of a screen on the floor, so when you use the 3D goggles it all comes out and you can control it. It's really a nifty piece of equipment to work with. But the projects I've worked on so far here are I'm working on a distributive justice game program with the previous chancellor, Professor Howard Cohen. His idea was to create this program that walks through a simulation with a classroom on the principles of justice, principles of distributive justice, which is based on a theory of distributive justice that includes concepts like the original position and the veil of ignorance, which I'm not familiar with distributive justice. That's not my field of study, but probably people that are interested in something like that would find it interesting to be in a situation where you can really explore those concepts. The idea is the game kind of removes you from your own bias of who you are and tries to put you in a civilization where you have to vote for things that are most fair. I think our theater just shut down because there's nobody out there. But what I'm moving on to right now, I've been working on a little bit when that project wraps up this week, is we're also working with Alverno, which is a local company that handles a lot of medical testing, and they're trying to show off their microbiology lab and some other things that they do in their facilities. So we're doing a 3D tour of their facilities, and we're also trying to help them set up what they call a WASP lab, and it's something created by Copan Diagnostics. It's this tool and also some incubators hooked by conveyors. The tool kind of takes all of these samples and processes them accordingly and puts them on the appropriate plates and stores them at the appropriate temperatures and durations so that they can examine what the physical nature, whether or not there's bacteria or what disease somebody might have if it's infected in that sample. And then a doctor or a physician will come later and look at it and actually determine what's been happening on those plates. But everything else is automated aside from the actual specialist coming in and looking and seeing what the problem is. But so we're doing modeling for that. And animation. I'm going to be taking over that project next week when the current project lead is leaving on vacation. But it's been a lot of fun. But it is getting kind of down to the wire because the summer is ending. This distributive justice project is probably going to be wrapping up in the next week. And what it's built on so far is it's built in Unity, which is a game engine that I've been a lot more familiar with since the start of the summer. But it's also really heavily built on C# code, programming scripts. So that's something that up until now I haven't had any real practical experience with. So I'm really excited that I can now say, if you've seen some of my previous videos, that's the direction I wanted to go. C# programming and Unity are now things I consider in my toolkit, which is really exciting compared to how I was probably two months ago. Really looking at those as things I want to explore instead of, hey, this is where I'm at. But what I'm working on right now is I'm trying to set up an independent study for my fall semester as well as a directed project. The directed project is probably going to involve some kind of human-computer interfacing, like control input, which is something that, for a video game you're obviously interested in. It has a lot to do with what the feel of a game is, which probably plays out to a smaller degree, but just, equally important as, the visual aspect. Every game has sound, every game has visuals, and every game has a feel. The controller adds some kind of, how you input adds some kind of direction to what that game feels like. Which is why PC games and console games have a distinct feel. It's because they have there is a certain feel that comes along with having a mouse and keyboard input. It's the view is very it's kind of like your head's on a swivel and your feet are kind of clunky, whereas on a console they work in tandem, so it's a lot more generally slow, but it feels a lot more cohesive. It's like you're actually experiencing something as opposed to the kind of unrealistic disconnect between having a mouse that moves quickly and feet that move slowly. But anyway, the independent study is also something I'm really excited about because I wanted to create a virtual action game level third-person shooter from start to finish, and that is in the process of being approved. I'm pretty sure that it is approved. And I'm hoping to use Unity for that, but because it's what I'm comfortable with, but a professor that I had worked with that's going to oversee the project suggested something called Dream Engine, which I'm not sure whether or not that's something that's available at the moment because I wasn't able to find anything about it online. So I asked him for a link or something, but I like the idea of working on a new engine because, as you continue to move forward with technology, it's nice to know that you have the potential of being on the cutting edge, but then also that you have the ability to adapt as these things go on. So ultimately, my goal is to be working on the Fox engine. Hopefully, more modern game engines that are available now will be getting closer to what the Fox engine is. If I could work on the Fox engine, that would be a mind-blowing great thing, but I doubt that anybody at this point is going to have any access to the Fox engine until Kojima Productions releases at least their first title with the Fox engine, if not a couple titles, so that they can get kind of ahead with their own proprietary software. So, right now, UDK, Unity, looking at another potential engine, ultimately wanting to move on to the Fox engine. I think I have like a guide for myself there. Programming, I don't know what other types of engines, what other types of programming code these other engines are using, but C# is pretty familiar to me now, which, other C languages are going to be equally easy to pick up because I'm at a fundamental stage with C#, so it's probably not going to be a big difference between switching over to things like C++ if I need to. And Unity has its own version of JavaScript that I've been coming to understand, and Java's kind of a little bit of my background too. So, time to time I'll have to decipher between C# and Java depending on what type of resources are available online. So, programming in general I think is becoming a strong suit of mine. Not is yet. But I'm really comfortable with everything I've been able to do with it so far. But I don't know what else to update you with at the moment. I'm, working on my second project with CIVS, wrapping up my first project, looking at my fall semester, trying to set up my independent study for building a third-person action game, and possibility of doing a human-computer interface directed project, but if possible I want to find something that more closely aligns with what I want to be working on when I get to Kojima Productions, if that happens, because that's my major goal for graduation in 2014. So, yeah, cool. Hope that's useful info. I'm really just doing this for myself to try to keep things on track and see that I'm going in the right direction, but in the off chance that somebody else is ever interested in it or wants to see what direction these types of things take, hopefully this will be a good resource. Okay, thanks, take care. Bye.